Operation Epic Fury has seen the United States unleash an unprecedented barrage of aerial force against Iran's dictatorial regime. The regime likely believed they had seen the worst, but somehow the United States still has a lot more left in the tank. It has unleashed something that Iran was desperately hoping it would never see in the sky, and it is hitting Iran so hard that it must feel like the end of the world for the regime. The A-10 Warthog has been officially unleashed, and it is completely ready to support every aspect of America's Operation Epic Fury. So much of what we need to know comes from one single post on X. On March 15th, United States Central Command, or CENTCOM, published a series of pictures along with a caption making it perfectly clear in no uncertain terms that the A-10, known by its nickname, the Warthog, is being deployed against Iran. The United States Air Force A-10 Thunderbolt IIIs receive fuel in flight while supporting Operation Epic Fury. The A-10 Thunderbolt II can loiter for hours standing by and ready to execute a mission whenever needed, CENTCOM declared. That loitering capability is absolutely key to what the Warthog is doing in Iran right now. The pictures that CENTCOM shared are far more revealing than this caption claims. The in-flight refueling isn't the real headline here, it is what the Warthog is seen carrying in the pictures. Army recognition highlights this, noting that CENTCOM's pictures revealed the combat configuration of the Warthog, which in turn gives us clues about how it is being used against Iran. The most immediate and notable weapons seen on the attack aircraft are APKWS guided rockets, which have been developed to provide the United States with a low-cost means of striking targets, such as drones. Alongside those rockets are AIM-9 LM Sidewinder missiles and AGM-65 Maverick air-to-ground missiles that, when combined with the APKWS, give the Warthog an extremely versatile combat profile. The Warthog that CENTCOM revealed has been stacked with enough weapons to allow for a varied number of potential attack and defense options, meaning these attack aircraft aren't being used for narrow sorties. It could be used for everything from attacking militia positions and key military nodes on the ground, taking out the drones and fast attack boats that Iran has been using to wreak havoc in the Strait of Hormuz. Add to all of this the Warthog's incredible ability to loiter. To understand why that is important, we only need to compare this attack aircraft to fighter jets that the United States has been using to wreck the Iranian regime's military infrastructure. Up to this point in Operation Epic Fury, fighter jets, especially when attacking targets on the ground, only have one aim. They get in, strike, and get out as fast as they can. The higher up those jets can fly, the less risky these maneuvers are. A fighter jet flying low to the ground is more difficult to control while avoiding obstacles due to its immense speed and can put itself on radar of the scattered air defenses in Iran. A Warthog, on the other hand, can loiter. It flies slower, which offers more control for pilots flying low to the ground, and it can stay in the skies for hours, awaiting orders to strike a new target. What this means for the United States is that it gets strategic options. Fighter jets usually fly narrow sorties, whereas Warthogs can stick around in the sky waiting for orders. And when those orders come, these aircraft can get in, strike, and get back out again, just like the fighter jets. But then, in assuming they still have weapons on board, the Warthogs can go back to loitering until the next orders come through. This is the key to sustained aerial firepower, and it has been made possible because of how well the United States and Israel have done in terms of destroying Iran's air defenses. The Israel Defense Force, or IDF, claimed to have destroyed 80% of Iran's air defenses within the first few days of the war. What this means is that there are now massive pockets of clear and safe air over Iran that can't be hit with anti-air missiles. Iran's air defenses are too scattered, and what's left has likely been repositioned to protect a few valuable targets that remain on the Iranian mainland, and they're not doing a very good job of it. For an attack aircraft like the Warthog, the aerial superiority that the United States and Israel have created over Iran provides the perfect opportunity for it to do what it does better than fighter jets, hang around for as long as needed, then strike when a target is acquired. As versatile as it is, the Warthog was designed with a specific purpose in mind. That is according to the United States Air Force, which says that it is the first aircraft that was designed specifically to provide close air support to forces on the ground. That is not so much of an issue in Iran as the United States hasn't put boots on the ground yet, though the imminent arrival of a Marine Expeditionary Unit of at least 2,200 United States Marines to Iran might change that within the coming days. But what this means is that the Warthog is traditionally meant to attack targets in the air and on the ground that could threaten infantry and special operations groups. Think smashing tanks and taking out choppers and you get the general idea. In the absence of ground forces to protect, the Warthog has other capabilities that make it a perfect choice for use in Operation Epic Fury, as the operation stands right now. The loitering that we mentioned earlier is key here, as are the plane's low-altitude capabilities. A Warthog can operate under a 1,000-foot ceiling, the United States Air Force claims, and it still maintains visibility up to 1.5 miles in these conditions. Warthogs have night vision imaging systems which allow pilots to conduct operations in the dark. Speaking about pilots, they are protected by titanium armor, which also guards the aircraft's flight control systems. Direct hits from armor-piercing rounds or high-explosive projectiles are survivable up to a penetration depth of 23mm in a Warthog, and there are manual systems in place to back up the aircraft's hydraulic flight control systems, allowing pilots to land their Warthogs even if they take enough damage that they lose their hydraulic power. A Warthog can fly for 800 miles and is capable of reaching a maximum speed of 420 miles per hour, which is a little over half the speed of sound. Not as fast as a fighter jet obviously, but the range and loitering capabilities make up for that. On the weapons front, we have already mentioned 3 rockets and missiles that we can see for certain are loaded into at least one of the Warthogs operating in Operation Epic Fury. Beyond that, the aircraft has a 30mm GAU-8 A-7 barrel Gatling gun, and it can carry up to 16,000 pounds of mixed ordnance. Mark 82 and Mark 84 bombs can be loaded into the aircraft, as can mine-dispensing munitions, flares, chaff jammer pods, and incendiary cluster bombs. The Warthog is incredibly versatile, and this massive potential loadout proves it. Whether the United States needs to hit targets on the ground or in the skies, the Warthog is capable of doing the job, as long as it can operate in an area where the threat from air defenses has been minimized. To say that this applies to Iran right now is an understatement. The Warthog is also known as the tank buster in some circles. That gives you a clue about how it fares when dealing with mobile targets on the ground. And though Iran hasn't had much reason to use any of the 2,675 tanks or 75,939 vehicles it has in its stockpiles, it is nice for the United States to know that it has the Warthog in its arsenal, if it ever does put boots on the ground. But right now supporting ground forces isn't what the Warthogs in Iran are doing. Loiter and destroy is the absolute goal, and there are several targets that America's A-10s can strike. Right now, the United States may be using an attack aircraft some call the tank buster to protect littoral combat ships in the Strait of Hormuz and the wider Persian Gulf. That is another task that the A-10 isn't specifically built to execute, but it is capable of doing anyway. On February 9th, the Warzone revealed that CENTCOM published some photographs showing a Warthog conducting exercises with the USS Santa Barbara, which is a littoral combat ship that is currently deployed in the Persian Gulf region. The idea behind this exercise seems to have been to ensure that the Warthog could protect the USS Santa Barbara from threats as it hunted for mines in the Gulf region. And this is a very important capability considering what Iran is trying to do in the Strait of Hormuz right now. Iran has threatened several times to lace the Strait of Hormuz with mines, in what is a clear attempt to stop the world's commercial tanker and container traffic from passing through. By March 10th and 11th, CNN was reporting that its sources close to United States intelligence were stating that Iran was starting to lay its mines, with a few already having been placed in the days leading up to the reports. A few days later, Reuters reported on comments made by United States Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who said that there was no clear evidence that Iran had mined the Strait of Hormuz. We have contradicting information here, but it is clear that mines in the waterway are a concern for the United States. If they are already there, they will be a problem that littoral combat ships with mine-clearing capabilities will need to handle. Enter the A-10 Warthog. If the exercise reported on by the Warzone shows us anything, it is that the United States is confident in the Warthog's ability to deal with drones, fast boats, and the other threats that Iran might deploy to stop American mine-clearing ships from doing what they need to do. And again, the Warthog's loitering capabilities come into play. The aircraft can stay in the air long enough and fly low and slow enough for it to be capable of instantly responding to incoming threats to America's mine-clearing ships. Drones and fast boats are 2 key problems that the A-10 can easily solve. Beyond protecting American mine clearers, we also cannot ignore the possibility that the United States is using its A-10s for more offensive purposes. The Warthog is a standoff precision machine, and Army recognition uses the AGM-65 Mavericks that we see loaded onto the Warthog in the CENTCOM photograph as proof. These missiles allow the Warthog to hit tanks and armored vehicles, sure, but they can also hit other targets on the ground such as Iran's air defenses and its logistical assets, including fuel sites and transport infrastructure. What the United States has in the A-10 is an aircraft that can hang around in safe airspace and can fire on ground targets from range as soon as the targets are identified.